Hi, my name's Tony and I'm from the SUP company, and I'm here to tell you a little bit more about the 2021 Starboard Allstar 14 by 26 in wood carbon. So here it is for 2021, the all-new Starboard Allstar 14 by 26 in wood carbon. And I say all new, that's not wholly true. The main reason is that in 2020, Starboard Allstar, which really is a mainstay for Starboard in terms of their performance race boards, saw a big change. It was basically famed for its deep single concave, bags and bags of secondary stability for a number of years. In 2020, Starboard took that, turned it on its head, and then they released a double concave bottom to the underside of the Starboard Allstar, and that made the board twitchier. No two ways about it, it was twitchier. And where we would previously have sold, and helped customers find a board that was right for them, that provided a lot of stability underfoot, and we could always do that if someone was looking, say, at a comparable or another brand with Starboard, for example, comparing the two, is that they would perhaps be considering a 26-inch wide board with another brand. Well, we could always confidently say, no, you'd be absolutely fine on a 24.5 wide Allstar. And that changed in 2020 because we very much had to kind of recommend and encourage people to go down the route of the board and stay true to their width, in a sense, because the board was that much twitchier. 2021, however, while we have the same double concave underside to the board, there are a number of changes to the 2021 Starboard Allstar that have made a huge difference over and above the previous model. The board is faster, the board is without a shadow of a doubt more stable, and ultimately I'd suggest that it kind of blurs the lines now even more between the Sprint and to some degree the Ace, in that the Allstar sits firmly in the middle as kind of a jack of all and a master of many for a lot of paddlers out there, in that the Sprint is a hugely capable board, and far more so than people actually give it credit for. It's not just a one-trick flat water pony. It is very capable in steep, sharp chop. The Allstar, however, kind of backed away from the flat water side of things in previous years. The double concave actually made it quicker. And then with the changes that have been made in 2021, it's quicker yet again and far more user-friendly. And that's in no small way down to this very deep cockpit that we now have as a dugout in the Starboard Allstar. But look, let's run you through from the nose down to the tail as we do in all of our videos here at the SUP company. Now, the nose of the Starboard Allstar is one of the marked differences between it that sets it apart from the Sprint lineup, is that while the Sprint is very knife-like in its approach and its entry to the water, the Starboard Allstar kind of goes the other way. It's all about generating lift. If you stuff the nose on an Allstar, all it's going to do is want to drive you up and skywards and keep that momentum and you going forwards. Whereas if you lose the nose on a Sprint in slightly choppy or very choppy downwind kind of sea state, then yeah, you're going the way that the Sprint wants to go ultimately, so you have to stand that little bit further back, and that ultimately costs you top speed. The Starboard Allstar though, quite the reverse, it just wants to accelerate in bumps. But very slab-sided, as we've had in previous years. It runs all the way back down this slab, all the way down to the tail end. And it just provides a lot of stability, so you can really engage with the board very confidently. It's still a little bit flighty underfoot because of those double concaves, and you can see that even on here, on the trestles, while she's sat flat, it's that big a difference on the underside. But the dugout cockpit makes a huge difference. You feel so much more secure. Your centre of gravity is a good 3.5 inches nearer the water surface. If you're at the slightly heavier end of what the 14 by 26 will accommodate, we're talking around 100 kilos, 105 kilos down to 70 kilos on this board as suggested rider weight, then you'll find the board will want to sit in the water and you'll start to have a small amount of backflow through the drain holes. But once you're underway, the board clears very, very quickly. The drain holes in 2021 are much more vertical. The board is much flatter in the standing area and it just drains much, much quicker than we've seen previously. But you are very, very confident on the board from the get-go. The nice thing is though, with the dugout, Starboard have learned from their sprints and that they've long been dug out, and the Ace as well, is that you have a much, much smoother transition to the tail of the board. And because the dugout runs much, much further down the back of the board than it does on the sprint, for example, you still have this very locked in feel. So it's very easy to find your feet as you start to play up and down the board. And you might be moving up and down the board whether or not because you're engaging in a buoy turn and a mark rounding, or simply that you're trying to maximize performance when downwinding. And as you start to move down the tail on the board, because it's much, much tighter and much more pulled in 2021, the board is much more maneuverable and more responsive as a result. You can take that to mean slightly less stable than in previous years, because it is, but it just does everything quicker. It wants to turn faster, it's easier to go in the direction that you want to. The other difference as well overall with the Starboard Allstar in 2021 is the rocker line. It's been flattened out quite a bit compared to previous models, and that overall has meant that the board is much, much quicker. That's down, and that's on all points of paddling. That's downwind, that's upwind, that's across. It's just quicker all round. And Starboard say that they're a good board to a board and a half length faster over a set distance on this model than they have been in 2021. And it's not bluster from Starboard, it's proven. The guys and girls at Starboard work exceptionally hard in making their boards quicker every year. And it's just great to see that they've done it yet again. But look, let's take the board and roll it over onto its rail. And you can see just how square those rails are, is it just wants to sit there. This is the wood carbon construction. It's available in two. It's available in a carbon sandwich as well. But without a shadow of a doubt, the wood carbon is by far and away the most popular. And that's mainly because of the price point. This board sits at around about 30, 34% slightly cheaper at a better value price point than the full-blown carbon sandwich. We're sure that this board will be exceptionally popular in 2021 at that price point yet again. And you're not losing much in terms of overall weight to the carbon construction. It's around 1 kilo. So this board sits at 14.2 kilos, while the carbon construction equivalent sits at just over 13. So really, given that there's in UK sterling, you're talking around £1,200. That's a big difference. That's an expensive kilo. So yeah, the wood carbon is a very, very popular option. But look, let's take you down from the nose a little bit again now, so you can start to see this spine that runs down the center of the board. You've got these two deep concaves each side. They vary in depth as you work your way down the board. Each side though runs a very pronounced chamfered rail, albeit the rail on the 2021 model is much more attuned and slightly rounded, particularly in the nose sections, while it remains harder in the tail sections. And this makes the board just much more responsive in the forward section when you are trying to navigate your way downwind, or releasing the board from the water surface when you're trying to turn. So overall, in 2021, if you are looking for, a board that can accomplish a lot, yet remain very fast and very responsive underfoot and work in a really, really broad range of conditions and be up the front of the fleet in terms of performance, the Starboard Allstar is back. It is more user-friendly than it has ever been before, and it is certainly faster. Thanks for watching our video. If you've got any questions about what you've seen, why not give us a call in the shop or head over to thesupco.com. To stay up to date with all of our videos, why not subscribe up here and click the notification bell. If you want to check out our next video though, take a look up here.